Hello and welcome to a latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor as we look ahead to the best of the action from Newbury and Doncaster. All races live on Sky Sports Racing, as well as the Morebattle Hurdle from Kelso. And if that wasn't enough, we also have Cheltenham and Post selections for you and our best bets of the weekend. Being joined back in the studio by Sam Boswell. Sam, how's your week been?
Yeah, good. Nap and Neck's best one last week, thank goodness.
Very well done.
Bucked a bit of a difficult trend, I think it's fair to say. Had a great day in Ireland. We'll be giving away that signed saddlecloth later on in the show. We'll announce the winner of that. And Crystal Palace deck, I don't know if you saw, they might have just beaten a certain Aston Villa.
She's rattled this morning, isn't she?
Yeah, she's not a happy girl.
It was not even that disgraceful of a performance, really.
We were just really good. That's what you've got to take away from it. We were just exceptionally good.
2 offside goals that were... Anyway, Deck, save us. I'm not going to get into this now with this debate.
I'm a Man United fan. I need all the saving I can get.
You need all the extra help you can get. So you actually should be staying out of this rather than teeing him up.
Correct.
I would say
although we've had another renaissance. We've beaten the mighty Ipswich 3-2 at home with a man sent
Yeah,
off.
some of us can't do that at home. So, again, we won't go into that just yet.
But anyway, less of the football, more of the racing.
Yes.
This is an absolutely belting weekend. I know everybody's got Cheltenham on their mind, but really good cards, I think, at Doncaster, Newbury and at Kelso this weekend. So hoping we can add to the festival kitty this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. We need to be bolstering it, don't we? Ready to go to war then at Cheltenham in just, what, a week and a half? Week and a few days' time now, so no time at all. Yeah, can't wait for any of that. Right, before we get into the action properly, though, a reminder as ever to please do gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will also do our best to point you in the right direction. Right, we're going to start up at Kelso with the 3:30. This is the Morebattle Hurdle handicap for your odds and over 2 miles, £120,000 worth the Morebattle Hurdle. Emmett Mullins successful with this with the shunter into 2021, and he has the favourite here in Vicio Deck.
He does. 2021 was actually the first year they changed the Morebattle to a handicap hurdle, and I think it's been good since. We've had some good renewals. Kraken Rhapsody is back to defend his crown, winner of the race last year off a much higher mark, but I think this is a much stronger race this year. It's a good race, and although the top weight is only going to carry, I think, a run of 140 Favour and Fortune, I think it's a decent renewal, so looking forward to it. Plenty of pace on here. A load of pace, and I had the old trusty stopwatch out last night, and I was timing the run to the first bend. It's around 30 seconds or so, and I can see a bit of a mad dash, plenty of pace on early, and I think that will suit the top weight Favour and Fortune, who I am with this week. Now, he's had a bit of a stop-start season, suffered a setback earlier in the autumn, and we didn't see him until Ascot, and he made a seasonal debut in that really tough competitive race won by Fiercely Proud, where the ground was cutting up and they went a million miles per hour, and he clearly needed the race badly. But this was more like it last time out at Newbury. You can still see him here, Tom Cannon, white cap over to the far side, still travelling really well going towards 2 out. Now, I don't know whether he had loads under the bonnet or Tom was sitting on nothing, but he just didn't quite get home late on, and maybe that's not a surprise given the ground was very, very soft. I also thought it was a big run because although they went a million down over the first hurdle and over maybe the second hurdle, it all steadied down and he was well out of his ground. So the race didn't set up perfectly for him. I hope he'll have a more end-to-end gallop to run at on Saturday. He'll have fewer excuses on Saturday now, because he's going to get better ground, he's going to get pace to run at, and this is a race that's put him spot on. So hoping the top weight for the Alan King Yard Favour and Fortune will kick off this week's show with a winner.
The top weight then in this handicap hurdle. Yeah, Favour and Fortune. He's been a horse that's been catching a few people's eye, hasn't he?
I'm surprised you're not with him. He's a bit of an old favourite of yours, isn't he?
Let him go. Let him go by now. Yeah, no. Any horse that's of that mould, for some reason in those colours, I do seem to gravitate towards. But yeah, 7-1, I will let you have him, Deck.
With your guess, yes.
Yeah, this is a really interesting betting heat. Should just add, we obviously had a couple of names that didn't get declared, and well, I should say at the entry stage that came out in JP McManus's silks, and that really shook up the market. And there was a few sort of each way plays coming out, and Favour of Fortune was definitely one of them at the time when people felt those further up the betting weren't going to run. And I really like your selection, Deck. Actually, it was on my shortlist. Scottish Champion Hurdle winner, but not enough for me. There are a few others I just wanted to give a quick mention to. Petrolhead for me, if the money comes there, that would be a significant move, I suspect. But Florida Dreams is the horse that I want to put up for Nicky Richards, who's having a great time of things at the moment. 33% strike rate, absolutely flying. The team in rare form, and sorry, I should say 25%, but still good form. Really interesting, this contender. Just last time out, made an absolute Horlicks of one. and that was that. You go back through the form book, was 5th in the big handicap hurdle at Cheltenham towards the start of the season, and I think looking in and around that, that's fair form, and I felt a double-digit price was just in a race you want to find something each way if you're taking on the favourite at the prices. I really, really like the look of this horse, and just got to make sure the jumping brushes up. Better ground will suit as well, which I think we're going to get at Kelso by the look of the forecast. So putting that all together, that was kind of my play each way in the race. I must say I do respect Tell Her the Name, and I think these two in the betting will get a lot closer. I wouldn't be shocked if Tell Her the Name goes off favourite, ground conditions, and actually run style as well. I think I can see that horse getting the lead and maybe quite hard to peg back. But even with that, I still felt Florida Dreams, what are we, 11-1, I'll be taking that.
11-1, a nice price as well done about Florida Dreams. It's interesting that you say about the head of the market though, because 7-2, I actually wasn't really expecting to be getting that about Vicio. I was hoping for 4-1 in a race of this nature, but then when you actually saw the opening prices at the time of decks and you thought, okay, the bookies aren't taking any sort of a chance here whatsoever, are they, with Vicio, and the fact that she, of course, is representing top-notch connections, as we've said, but maybe it is the ground factor, because she is a mare where she would prefer the ground softer than she's likely to get here. I'm still going to stick with Vicio all the same, though, because in Emmett I trust, basically. And so it is pretty unoriginal in a big field handicap, but hopefully Emmett Mullins, who, of course, is attempting to do the double again, securing that bonus with the Shunter in 2021 for this mare. Unlikely, of course, like the Shunter, to be going to the plate handicap chase at the festival, but if she does go to the county, I'd be against her in that. I would fancy her more for the Coral Cup or for the Martin Pipe, but she needs to go and win this first anyway for me to be fancying her at all at Cheltenham. In a hat-trick bid, winning on her final start for the Donahoe stable, now still running now, I should say, in the colours of Syndicates Racing, winning a sole start for Emmett Mullins in a listed contest, which she had 18 rivals in that, so she's got no problem with big field handicaps, and also to get a good pace to aim at. She wants a good gallop to aim at in front of her. She's going to get that here because she wants cover, but also she's got a really blistering turn of foot as well, so isn't the most straightforward.
Yeah, there's something that was going to flag, Kate. Good news for you. She did win on good ground at Punchestown, which I hadn't clocked, actually, until I went back through while you were talking. And also, there's a really interesting thing, as you mentioned, not straightforward. Rider deliberately without irons at start. I've never seen that in running comments before. Yeah, on the Punchestown win. Yeah.
We've seen jockeys, obviously, without irons at the start. But
quirky, I'd imagine, is possibly the
probably
term
just
I'd
to
use
try and keep her
Probably
calm.
just trying to keep a lid on her. I think, didn't she wear a hood and a tongue tie for the first time at Leopardstown? But I thought Danny Mullins gave her a really brave ride, cut the paint everywhere, and she jumped really well. And she was badly hampered as well, wasn't she, going to the last and then after the last, and she still bolted up. I was just a bit worried about her. Clearly there's a bit of an edge to her, and she's got to travel over from Ireland and stay overnight, and that's one of the reasons I actually liked Favourite Fortune, is because he won the Scottish Champion Hurdle at Ayr last season, so he's proved he can travel up to Scotland, stay overnight and win. So just another little factor that you hope can add to a bet.
He can cope with the Scottish air then.
That's it. What he should do is his trainer is Scottish.
Actually, that's a very good point. Yeah, we should have that, shouldn't we? We should have a little SA next to the horse's name, Scottish Air.
Put down the race cards on at theraces.com.
There you go. There's another little bit.
First time Scottish Air.
First time Scottish Air. Yeah, for the pros out there, then that's a good way to look at it. Favourite Fortune. Yeah, Vicio does need to answer that. So unoriginal from me, but 7-2. I'm actually okay about that price. I think that's probably about where she should be.
I think you might get a little bit bigger, Kate.
If I can, ideal. Then happy days. And I'll happily take the chance on the ground then as well. Do let us know who you fancy for the Morebattle Hurdle in the comments section below. Now we're going to move slightly further south to Doncaster with the 3:15 now. The Grimthorpe Handicap Chase, 5 rows and over 3 mile 2. And of course, all races at Doncaster are live on Sky Sports Racing. So a competitive betting heat for their feature here, Sam.
Yeah, certainly is. Best of luck to BetVictor Greatwood Gavin Sheen, who takes the ride on co-favourite Some Scope, who I've put up in the past, but I am going to leave here. I just wonder that marker 127. I'm not sure it's just the most feasibly well handicapped in the race. White Rhinos is a really intriguing runner from a stable. It's a big weekend, isn't it, for Oliver Greenall and Jeff Guerrero. We'll touch on a few of their runners a bit later on as well. Respect them both. Surrey Quest is a horse I really like as well, but I actually went all the way down these, and it's Lord Baddesley for me that's kind of probably trying this trip for more or less the first time. He's not been seen over 3 miles too often, but I think the ground's going to be key here. Again, we're understanding, slightly conflicted Declan and me before we came on air, because we were convinced that it was drying up at Donny, but then someone that had been there mentioned that there'd been a load of rain yesterday. But
yeah, but then on the BHA website they said it was a dry and breezy day.
So we're guessing a bit when it comes to the ground, but let's hope it ends up on the sort of that.
My trust issues in Clark of the course.
You've got a lot of trust issues.
I've got trust issues with a lot of things in life.
Save them for the therapy.
Look, we have. To be fair, I haven't had a bit of a therapy session with you this year. I'm due one, but anyway, crack on.
Right, let's get back to poor old Lord Baddesley, who's having his thunder stolen by a decade. But his mark is probably the most attractive thing. Back down to a winning mark of 125, and switched yards as well. And I just wonder if potentially Anti-Honeyballs is only the third run he's had with the horse. Maybe he's still learning about him, but wants to try this slightly further trip. And as he's got older, he's a 10-year-old now. Just wonder, I do think there's still a big one in him. And Anti's been ticking over nicely. He's got quite a few runners in a race we sponsor that opens the card, actually, a Veterans Chase at Newbury. So it could be a big weekend for him. But yeah, I kind of wanted an each-way play in this sort of handicap. And I felt like maybe there's a little bit more that unexposed as a 10-year-old, he's certainly not. But at the trip, there could just be something more to come, and he'll get away with it on a flat track like Donny.
14-1, I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'll take that each way. That's fine. I think you can make cases for so many. It's a very typically competitive handicap.
2 big prices from you this week.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
You've got Cheltenham fever.
Must be. It must be exactly that.
We'll get back to odds on shots next week.
Yeah, right, Dec. Clark's of course messing with you.
Yeah.
What do you fancy?
This is another race I think I can see loads of pace on. There's plenty who like to go forward, and it's going to be decent ground at Donny. It's on the inside track there, and you're always turning. That famous racing phrase always comes back to me. If you don't travel at Donny, you're in the Swanee. So
famous phrase.
Yeah, it is. It's been going around
time.
for years. It's just one of those tracks that if you don't jump well and don't travel well, a race can really get away from you early and you're put on the back foot. And I can see that happening here because there's loads of pace on. But I'm with the favourite. I was just giving Sam. Sam Pelters.
You set yourself up for an
I didn't think that one through, did I? So I'm with some scope. He was second in this race last year, and I'm hoping he can go one better. But you remember last year they had all that rain on throughout the day, and I think there was 10 runners, and only 2 finished in the end. And it was himself and does he know of the Kim Bailey yard? Probably now Kim Bailey and Matt Nichols as it is. But
stroked his face yesterday.
That's oh, did you?
The horse, not Matt.
Okay, or Kim, yeah.
Yeah.
He ran a cracker here, and I think the ground probably just went against him. But he clearly likes Donny. I think he's ran here twice. He's won once, and he's finished second this day. But I think he's a little bit better horse on a bit better ground. Now, I remember this day I wanted to take him on because when he won at Donny the time before that, he didn't really travel around, and he never looked the winner until very late. But since then, he's a year older. He's had more race, and I think he's a sharper model, more experienced, and does everything right. So the ground will certainly suit him. And I think maybe Gavin Sheehan, BetVictor brand ambassador Gavin Sheehan, could possibly ride him a little bit more forward this year than they have done in the past because he's got more experience. So won the role in Merrick. He does come back here on the back of a poor run at Cheltenham, but 2.5 miles around Cheltenham was never ever going to suit him. So it's a race I think we can easily dismiss. So I'll give him a nod. I also wanted to give Twig a nod as well. The lads at BetVictor are clearly ducking him because you can get a little bit bigger about him. Might get bigger on the day, but this isn't the greatest renewal I don't think of the Grimthorpe. There's been 3 winners in the last decade. Won this off 149. I think with Bo Morgan's claim, he's going to run basically 141. He likes good ground. He's got a touch of class. He was second in the Cheltenham Festival handicap last year. I'm going to have 2 win darts at this race, Some Scope and Twig.
And on Twig, is there a better informed stable than Ben Pauling right now?
Insane.
Like over 50% strike rate, which you don't see really in National Hunt outside of Willie Mullins.
And I saw, was it Camilla Sharples leading in one of his horses?
Yeah, she works there now.
There you go.
Yeah,
so she is a very experienced horsewoman, being around a lot of good yards. Maybe it's Camilla Sharples with the uptick in form. So we're going to have a new icon as well for at the races website. First time Camilla Sharples lead up. So I know that was interesting, but they are in great health at the moment. The Pauling yard.
Yeah, Camilla's an incredible person, incredible horse person as well. I feel like she's just blessed with luck wherever she goes as well, because Gordon Elliott had a fantastic job there. She did amazingly. So of course she sold that good horse then to JP McManus for a hefty penny as well that she bought through pointing, and now she's gone to Ben Pauling's, and the luck has followed. So just go wherever, like say, Camilla Sharples is for sure there. So Twig, win dart though.
Say again?
Win dart for Twig.
Windart.
You said
Windart.
Oh, 2 Windarts.
Yeah.
Yes, some scope and 3.
I don't know how else to say this.
It's like you were talking double Dutch to me there. I didn't hear what you said.
It's the accent, I know.
I was like,
it's really,
Windart. What
really
did I mention? Windart? I don't think you said
Windart.
Windart, yes.
Twig, and also some scope as well. I'm going for the win. Dart also then with Hymac in here at 11-2, and again trying to run the trends here. We've been getting closer and closer with the trends. They've just been a frustrating season for it, where I feel like I've just been getting seconds and places throughout, but hoping that these will convert to wins. We know that we're on the right lines at least anyway, but yeah, Hymac ever so consistent though, should be thereabouts after doing a little wrong last season. That theme has continued into this campaign as well, winning on seasonal debut on very contrasting ground to the final start and win of last season at Cheltenham. But he's not actually run to better, or he has, I should say, has actually run to better figures in his 2 subsequent starts despite not winning again, including last time out, second at Newbury in a 3-mile 2 handicap chase, 6 lengths behind Henry's Friend. Now, he didn't exactly jump with fluency in this race, but his stamina really came to the fore again. This horse is all about stamina, and it's just been great to see him get this run of races, because previously he just looks to have had some issues because he's had just a fairly truncated career. So he looks like he's getting a real run at things now, running off the same mark here as last time out. Definitely doesn't look beyond him, and he's getting first-time cheek pieces to go with his usual tongue tie, which may just help him to concentrate on his jumping that bit better for Hymac.
You better hope so, because last time out he was awful.
Thanks for that, Dec. Thanks for that.
That's the thing with the Tracey's trends. They don't pick up on the visuals.
Yeah. No, they don't. They really don't. It's all facts, figures. It's very methodical. Yeah, we try, well, but selective, to be honest, really. Selective reading of trends and stats. But Hymac, though, yeah, I just hope, like I say, he jumps better in the headgear. Might just help.
To be fair, the better ground will help, won't it? Because he's no problem on decent
ground.
ground.
He's no problem. No, he's so ground versatile, completely, considering he's a horse where he must have had some sort of issues along the way. He's got no problem with better ground either. So 11-2 then Hymac for me in the Grimthorpe. Again, do let us know in the comment section below who you fancy for that ultra competitive handicap. Now, talking of ultra competitive handicaps, Newbury's 345 now. The Greatwood Gold Cup handicap chase, premier handicap, 5 rods and over 2 mile for another valuable race live on Sky Sports Racing. I'm going to kick us off here because I really like Cop Mask in here, who is not even on the betting in this. He is in the bar as well then. Sorry, the BetVictor Greatwood Gold Cup.
Cheers, Kate.
As well.
We'll have you back next week then. Go on them.
No, to be fair, it gets its own section now at least anyway. But yeah, Cop Mask though for me. And just hopefully to get back to the winning ways of his penultimate start, where such as his one, we talk about horses with jumping frailties. He's certainly got his own way of doing things. And I've spoken about this before, about this lad. This win, though, was on the back of a second and a third at Ascot over 2 mile 1 on his 2 other starts in the season. Now, last time out certainly wasn't a disgrace of a performance at all, because it was the worst form figure of the season when finishing 6th up to 2 mile 5 round Ascot on the back of a £3 rise for this win. But he can be forgiven for that because he was hampered early, which just put him on the back foot, looked to challenge at the 11th fence and then cut out at the second last. Bit disappointing. But I still don't think you can say that he is handicapped out of things. Down £1 as well for last time out. Different track. Jumping put to the test again, therefore, but I think the slight drop back down and trip around a flatter track will only help him. First try at Newbury, but he's got a good record left-handed. So I just thought that Cop Mask then would be a good way to go here. So, yeah, at 14-1 now, as we're gone into the bar prices there about Cop Mask, be a good way for me to go.
I didn't even know we could do this.
I didn't know. It confused me then. I thought he was suddenly second favourite.
I just thought if you were in the bar, you were in the bar. There was no getting
that's it. No, you don't. Yeah, you don't get a choice. So, to be honest, I thought he'd just been put in as second favourite and I'd missed it, 14-1. Very nicely done there, Ben Producer. Dec.
Yeah, it's a good little race, this. I think the first fence comes up really quick here, doesn't it? The cross fence, they jump first time out. And I see loads of pace on here. So, yeah, Billy the Big Red, he'll go forward, won't he? Along with San Segal, who seems to be kind of transformed by forward-going tactics the last while. So I think there'll be a good gallop on here. Billy the Big Red, he ran a cracker at Cheltenham. Jumped really well, but I do think he had complete run of the race. He really steadied it up on the final circuit and had run of the race, but he's a nice horse. Can Do Kid, is this his trip? Is this his ground? He's got the national aim. This is a Rocco second preference. He mightn't run here. Vicenzio is a horse I like, but he's still very novice-y in his jumping. And then Lamilos is a 10-year-old, and there's 2 or 3 other 10-year-olds in the race as well. And I just thought it was a race that could set up really nicely for Prince Quali, going up in trip in first-time cheek pieces. Now, he's a strong traveller who jumps well, but I think he's a real galloper, and kind of on that nicer ground, he probably doesn't have the change of gear to go with horses before running on. But he's just been shaping like he's been crying out for a step up in trip, and he's going to get it here. Now, the worry with him is he comes here on the back of a fall at Chepstow last time out, just last weekend, 7 days ago. And I've got to be honest, that is a surprise, because usually his jumping is one of his big assets. So hopefully it hasn't left a mark. The Robert Walford team are having a great season in general, but they're also operating at a 33% strike rate at the moment. So hopefully getting him back will suit. The ground will suit him, the step up and trip will suit him, and if the first time cheek pieces bring a bit of extra improvement in a race where it looked like it was one to have a good swing, I thought he had a big each way chance at a nice price.
Yeah, for coming here, like say, on the back and forth, but you've made a good case to be able to compensate for that, given his usual
I just thought
jumping.
the price was the main kind of driving factor in the bet in a race that loads had question marks, but yeah, it's never ever a positive backing a horse on the back of a fall.
16 to 1 though, nice price as well. Pretty original from Dex, Sam.
Yeah, I've copied Dex homework this week because we really agreed. It's not like us to agree, really, Deck, especially in these kind of handicaps.
No, leading the blind,
but yeah,
is the phrase.
I just kind of felt the price was wrong. You know, you're getting 5 places here each way.
Is that with BetVictor?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
The fall would be a concern, but if you look through his form, bar that, it's pretty consistent. All right, he's not won that much, but I do think there's more potentially to come. Obviously, a French import. I just really like the sort of look of him at the prices. What are we now? Yeah, I mean, I'd like a smidge bigger. I think it was 20s when I was writing it up, but I kind of think you hit the nail on the head.
There were some of them there. I think he was 33s in a few places when
probably not 5 places.
The market when it first opened up, so there has been a bit of interest in him already.
I will just touch on some others, though, just while we're talking about the race, because I thought it was interesting. Iroko, we think, is going to go to Kelso, so you can probably put a line through him. But Can Do Kid, I've seen quite a few people write about this horse. Oh, you know, not sure about the trip because he won, obviously, at over 3 Mile 2 last time out. But don't forget, he was second in this race last year, 12 months ago, just a short head to help them. So I thought...
And lots of people didn't even think going to the Labrador Trophy that he was going to say that trip. No. That was the question mark going into that race. And now that he's done it, like, oh, no, can't go back.
And we're expecting probably soft ground at Newbury, so I kind of felt like I wouldn't let that put you off him if you were a fan of him.
It was heavy ground last year at this race.
Won. So I thought that was just quite an interesting one. But yeah, no, my bet was going to be the same as Dex each way. So yeah, it's a good renewal. We're really pleased to be sponsoring it, and like I say, proud to keep the Greatwood name alive. And there they do some fantastic work. So if you win a few quid this weekend, maybe have a look at throwing them a few pennies.
Oh, a charity that I've always loved since I was a little girl. I was always obsessed with Greatwood as well. So, yeah, certainly echo those thoughts for sure then about such a fantastic charity. But do let us know then in the comments section below who you fancy for the BetVictor Greatwood Gold Cup. Now, the three of us are going to move over to the sofa to give you our Cheltenham anti-post plays as well as our best bets for the weekend. Now, before we get into our Cheltenham anti-post plays, it's time to announce the winner of our Jade de Grugy saddlecloth giveaway. Sam has it here, with donning still the mud from the win, which I'm so pleased about that you haven't washed this.
Well, it's very authentic, Kate.
So
that's the only thing I would say. And it managed to make my bag on the Ryanair plane home incredibly dirty. So I hope whoever is the lucky recipient certainly frames it or does something with it. Just don't wash it. Put it in a frame. Yeah. It'll be fine. But yeah, we got...
Tell you what, if she wins the Mayor's Hurdle this year, that'd be a lovely little prize.
Exactly. Yeah. It will go up in value as well then, certainly so. Signed by trainer and jockey Willie Mullins and Paul Townend as well. So thank you so much then to everyone who entered this competition, but time to announce the winner, and the winner is Jackie Miller. So, Jackie, congratulations.
Jackie!
We will be in touch very soon to let you know how we're going to send this out to you. So, congratulations, Jackie. Right, lads.
Happy days.
Jade de Grugy, is she going to be your anti-post play then, Deck?
She is not, because that would be a mad race to have an anti-post betting, because we have no idea what's going to turn up in. Instead, I am going to go to the new National Hunt Novice Handicap Chase. And I'm going to put up a British trained horse, which is probably not the greatest idea given the way Cheltenham's been going the last year. But he is trained by an Irish man, so hopefully that'll count for plenty. But Transmission for Neil Mulholland, I think, will go really well here. Now, he's got all his runs this season, all his chase runs this season have come at Cheltenham. And I think he's taken defence as well. Now, the first day he ran behind Highland, he needed the race badly and his jumping needed a lot of work, but he shaped a lot better than the distance beaten. And then second time out, when he won under Patrick Mullins, his jumping was a lot better. Now, he does jump a lot to his right, so he's going to need a little bit of luck and a good ride on the day and just things to fall right. But he just looks like he's been crying out for this kind of marathon test. You know, he was second behind Haughty Couleur last time out, who's also going to run in the race and has got a big chance for the Rebecca Curtis yard. But he's got a 4-pound swing for 2 3/4 lengths, and over that kind of trip, that's a big swing in the weights. So the swing in the weights, the Cheltenham form, and the step up and trip, I think, will really suit this lad. So as long as he gets a little bit of luck in the race, given how he jumps, I think he'll run a big, big race.
This is the horse that won Ride of the Season last year, wasn't it, for Joe Anderson?
Joe Anderson performed absolute miracles at Plumpton when he made a really bad mistake and they got up to win. So, yeah, the engine is there.
Yeah, and the jumping frailties are there as well.
All right. Just because I was picking holes in Highmack early. She's been really sour since that Villa defeat, honestly.
I knew my time would come.
I think it's because she got run away on the gallop, but we won't talk about that.
I'm so sore. Good, I'm getting pelters everywhere at the minute. But yeah, it's been a rough week for Kate. Something, though, that has brightened my mood is the boost. Tenuous link. 8-1 to 10-1 then, Sam. So boosts again.
Yeah, we're back for the boost, and you'll be able to find on site some of our previous ones that we've left up. They are now non-run, no bet, so some of them may be slightly different to when we've spoken about them for price. Dec, one thing I would say that's a positive for Transmission is I had a look at the long-range forecast. We're at that point where we all become weather forecasters. I don't think there's much rain around. I think better ground will suit. Yeah,
I agree. He's got plenty of form on some nice ground. Yeah.
But Sam, your own Cheltenham play.
Yes. Well, as I mentioned, I've been looking at the weather and starting to dissect it. And a race that I like to have a bet in, but it's probably a tricky one, is the Champion Bumper, because we get to see the future stars. Right. And I was there at when the new favourite Game of Inches won at Punchestown, and that was a really impressive performance. But looking at him in the parade ring and looking at the conditions he was in there, I don't think if we get the better ground, that's going to suit at all. And I'm quite happy to take him on at the price. And Wing Beneath My Wings, if you go back through this National Hunt season, there hasn't been for me too many really standout performances where I've gone, wow. This horse at Ascot was one of those performances.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that was a good field as well. This wasn't an average bumper at Ascot. They were a good field, and you could just tell. And I remember Matt Chapman was on duty throughout the races that day, and yes, Matt gets a bit excited, but you could tell he went up to some of the trainers that were in behind, and they were a bit shell-shocked with what they saw. Yeah. Is there substance to the Irish form going back a little bit further with his runs? I think so. If you look at the Listowel bumper win, which is his second bumper run, that had depth to it. The second, the third and the fourth have all won some sort of race further on from that. I just think there's so much to like about this horse. Obviously, David Pipes kept him for this race. That was always the plan. I think that's a nice boost. And I think better ground, bear in mind, Ascot was good to soft, which is what we're going to get at Cheltenham. It's not going to be allowed to get to completely good ground. So I thought that sort of ticked the box, because go through the Champion Bumper and look at how many of those horses, they're big chasing types for the future, and they haven't run on a quickish surface, especially the Irish ones. So for me, I thought Wing Beneath My Wings was the horse I wanted to be with in Champion Bumper at the prices, and that's a nice boost.
Taking on Willie in the bumper, brave man.
Yes, exactly, yeah, as the old saying goes, and that is one. That actually is a saying.
I'm working on the other one.
Yeah, you will
come into effect, just give it time.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Fetch is not going to happen. 13-2 then, the boost from 5-1, Wind Beneath My Wings in the Champion Bumper. But as you say, he really was pretty eye-catching, wasn't he then? Yeah, everyone took note then of him that day. So 13-2, really nice boost there in the Champion Bumper. Right, I'm going to be less original again in here. But again, I'm mainly doing it to get the boost on Stumptown in the cross-country. We talk about races being converted to handicaps. Well, of course, it's going to be a limited handicap now as well, the cross-country this year. 9-4 to 11-4 about Stumptown. And Mr. Coffee, who's in the race as well, I mean, he's going to have another chance to finish second, isn't he? to Stumptown here. So I really like that form line to be focusing in on between the pair of those two to basically do what they did around the cross-country course last time out. And yeah, but Stumptown, he's now 3 from 4 in these types of races. The sole defeat coming at Punchestown in his 3 runs around that course on the Banks course. But even then, it's only because he got taken out by a loose horse late on. So you can completely forgive that because he would have been thereabouts anyway, you would have thought. So he's just one of those horses who's really taken to this discipline. And what we associate the cross country with nowadays are those older Gold Cup types of horses, but it kind of feels like we've lost touch ever so slightly of the proper just cross-country specialist, you know, Balthazar Kings, your spot for differences. I mean, Tiger Roll being the most recent of which, but I'm hoping Stumptown, I believe he's only about 8 years old still now, so he's got years to be able to string together sequences and these types of races. And as I say, he just takes to this discipline so well. So plenty of time on his side. And yeah, 9-4 to 11-4. I still thought that he was running off a feasible mark.
2 weeks running, you put up a Gavin Cromwell horse.
Yeah, Gavin Cromwell fangirl.
He's a right man to be with at the minute, isn't he?
Horses are thriving and they're healthy, and that's half the battle, isn't it?
Oh, literally, so much so. So yeah, I know that we expect the Bromhead's horses to come good in the spring and for the big festivals, but I'd still rather side with a yard that is continuing to go into these festivals in good form, and Gavin Cromwell certainly is that then. So make sure to head to the website or to scan the QR code to take advantage of any of those boosts. Right, lads, on to the best bets. Declan, I'm going to go back to you again, please, for your best bets of this weekend.
Yeah, the nap and the next best we've already discussed. Grow up, Tracey. The nap is going to be Scope, who's going to run in the Grimthorpe. Second in the race last year. I'm hoping he can go one place better. I think the nice ground will suit him, and he's just a lot more experienced. Is a bit more streetwise when he ran in the race last year. So he will do for me for BetVictor brand ambassador, Gavin Sheehan. And the next best we've also discussed is going to be Prince Quali. Just a race, I think it's a race to have a poke at a horse at a big price. The soft ground will suit him. The first time cheek pieces could, if they eke out a bit of improvement. He jumps well and he travels well. You know, he does an awful lot right, and I think he's been crying out for the step up and trip. Just hoping the fall last time out hasn't left a mark, because that is always a worry. And then the long shot, we're going to go back to Donny. It's going to be Barucki for the Anthony Honeyball yard in the 240 there. He's only had 3 runs over fences this year. Had the unenviable task of trying to take on Sergino and Ballyburn last time out at Kempton. It's fair to say these are calmer waters. But last time out, I thought he was taken out of his comfort zone, but he jumped all right. You know, this is more suitable to him. I think good ground will suit, a flat track will suit, and yeah, he will do for me at a big price. I did notice in that race Sam Twiston Davis is riding another horse for Anthony Honeyball, which was interesting, so I wasn't sure who had the choice there between him and Ben Godfrey, so just keep an eye on the market. But I think Brookie will go well in a race that I wanted to take on a couple to the front of the market.
Okay, I've got a point to make in that race, but before I get to the 240 at Doncaster, Sam, your own best bets. Are we going to that race for you at all?
I'm going to start up at Kelso, the 255, which is a really interesting race, because I think the Willie Mullins trained horse will go off favourite, which will then give us a bigger price about Vanderpoel for Ben Pauling. What are we now at the moment? 3-1. When I looked, they were sort of kind of first and second favourites, but I think they'll switch round, despite Ben Pauling being an absolute flying form, which will hopefully give us a slightly bigger price on the nap. Ben Jones as well, what a season he's having, 62% strike rate right now.
Sharples.
The whole gang there having a great time of things, and hoping that this horse, if you go back through the form, but I think it was the Huntingdon win before the Ludlow one, that form's working out really well. The Ludlow win was just pretty facile, even though there was the odd error in there. And I think it's intriguing that they're going to go up there, and I think they'll probably take a decent pot. And I think, as I said, the Willie Mullins horse will hopefully make the market. My next best is going to come at Doncaster. Now, Miss Cynthia, we may remember her more for what she's done on the flat so far. She was last seen running on the flat for Sir Mark, finishing in the Cadram behind a certain Kyprios. But since going jumping, had a decent time of things, really. What are we? A second, and a first. Needs to step forward to challenge the favourite in this race, but she's very unexposed, and I was hopeful that Doncaster was going to continue to dry, and I'm still yet to see that that's going to be the case. But if it is, I think she'll go really well for Lucy Wadham. Gavin Sheehan takes the ride, and I think she could just upset the favourite there, who comes over from Ireland with a decent level of form, but looks maybe like a slightly more exposed horse. And then finally, my long shot we've touched on, Florida Dreams, in that competitive race, the 3:30 at Kelso. But I'm really, really hoping that Nicky Richards' horse can just improve from that error and learn from last time out, because we'll need to step forward. But has experience of running in big field handicaps. That run at Cheltenham when 5th in the Greatwood, I think definitely earmarks this horse as a possible candidate. I think it's feasibly treated as well by the handicapper. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, everyone.
Andy Dufresne. I could not remember the horse's name that Camilla had sold to JP. That was it. It's been bugging me all show. I could not think of his name.
Or as I heard someone pronounce his name on a Cheltenham preview night, Andy Dufresne.
Dufresne. If you have not seen...
I'm not going to laugh at anyone's pronunciation. I'm
yeah, well, I
used to pronounce his name like that because I had never seen the really famous film.
Shawshank Redemption?
Yes.
Oh, you've never seen that?
No, I have now.
Okay.
And now I get the pronunciation issue over his name now. But yeah, Andy Dufresne, though. Camilla's had a lot of shout-outs on this show.
She has, yeah.
Rightly so. Great girl. Right, my own nap, though, as promised, for 2:40 at Doncaster. I'm going to be pretty unoriginal again there. Head of the market, Petite Tonnerre, then, for me here. But this was one where the trends landed me back on the favourite for this. So he is short enough at 9-4 in here, admittedly, and a horse that you don't necessarily know if you can trust him to back up the success from last time out, but at least that win came over this course and distance, 5 fan higher mark. Now, that was a much better showing up from him after a couple of lesser efforts, really, but it's not like he's been completely in the doldrums as such, but last time out, down to a career low marker 1.25. And when you think he was rated 141 this time 2 years ago, but he hasn't won since his stable debut in 2022. Now, admittedly, the race perhaps did fall in his lap somewhat on that occasion. They went hard in front, the pace collapsed, but I think that they're going to do exactly that in this race again. There's loads of pace on in that race. So he also may have been aided by a couple of months off, and he is a horse who does seem to go well fresh. So perhaps his 35-day layoff won't be enough to see him come here off the back of a break as such. But I just hope he's got the confidence now. And he's a very talented handicap hurdler not that long ago. So he's way below that mark to give him every chance to go in again. Next best bet is Hymac, who we've already touched upon in the Grimthorpe handicap chase. Very consistent, winning on seasonal debut. Has run to better figures than his 2 subsequent starts despite not winning again, including last time out, 2nd at Newbury. Stamina came to the fore there, running off the same mark, doesn't look beyond him, and getting first-time cheek pieces to go with his usual tongue tie, which might just help his jumping. And then my long shot is going to be Cop Mask in the BetVictor Greatwood Gold Cup to hopefully get back to the winning ways of his penultimate start, where again, such as his want, he made mistakes throughout, but just his own way of doing things. But last time out, certainly wasn't a disgrace. He was hampered early, as I said earlier on, put on the back foot, down 1 pound, different track. Hopefully Newbury will suit him, just being that bit of a flatter track as well for him. And he's got a good record left-handed, so hopefully that will be no issue for Copmas at 14-1. Right, lads, that is everything from us.
It's not, Kate.
Oh, is it not?
Because I've got breaking news. BetVictor are launching a super boost on horse racing this weekend, so keep your eyes peeled on site. It may just concern Grey Dawning, we'll have to wait and see, but do keep your eyes peeled for that. You'll be able to find that at betvictor.com. OK, definitely keep your eyes peeled for that then. So, yeah, like that a lot. You're off racing today, so we will let you go in due course. Have a lovely day. Dec, enjoy this weekend?
Yeah, working this weekend, sadly, but looking forward to getting stuck into some Cheltenham form in the evenings. It's our Cheltenham preview next weekend.
Yes, it is perfectly done. So you definitely do not want to be missing that. So, lads, thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you so much for watching. And as Dec has just said then, that we will be back at the same time next Friday to preview the Cheltenham Festival.